The 22nd of August, 1977, 10:42 a.m. Health First Pharmacy, Brooklyn, New York. Crime boss Tony Salerno was picking up his monthly prescription for blood pressure medication when he noticed that the pills looked slightly different from his usual medication. They had a slightly different color and texture that he mentioned to the pharmacist, Dr. Vincent Romano. Romano assured him that the manufacturer had simply changed the coating formula to improve absorption rates, and that the new pills would actually be more effective at controlling his hypertension than the previous formulation. What Salerno didn't know was that his blood pressure medication contained carefully measured doses of digitalis and mercury compounds that would gradually destroy his cardiovascular system over the next 6 months, while appearing to be the natural progression of heart disease in a man of his age and lifestyle. Health First Pharmacy wasn't just Brooklyn's most trusted neighborhood drugstore. It was Lucky Luciano's final weapon, a pharmaceutical operation that could eliminate enemies through the very medications they trusted to keep them alive and healthy. To understand how Lucky Luciano's organization transformed the pharmaceutical industry into a weapon for systematic elimination, you need to understand the unique trust relationship that existed between patients and pharmacists in 1970s America. Pharmacies were considered among the most reliable and essential community institutions, places where people brought their most serious health concerns and trusted professional medical expertise to provide safe and effective treatments for their medical conditions. More importantly, prescription medications provided perfect cover for administering poison because patients expected to consume pharmaceutical products regularly over extended periods, creating opportunities for gradual poisoning that would appear to be natural disease progression or medication side effects rather than deliberate assassination attempts. The pharmacy industry also offered ideal conditions for systematic poisoning because prescription medications were inherently powerful chemical compounds that could cause serious health problems or death if improperly formulated, making it virtually impossible for victims or medical authorities to distinguish between medication errors and deliberate poisoning. Lucky realized that a pharmaceutical operation could provide the ultimate combination of trust, access, and concealment for elimination activities because patients voluntarily consumed potentially deadly substances while believing they were receiving life-saving medical treatments from trusted healthcare professionals. The inspiration for Lucky's pharmaceutical assassination strategy came from his understanding of how prescription medications could be manipulated to deliver fatal doses of poison while maintaining the appearance of legitimate medical treatment, and how the complexity of modern pharmaceuticals made it virtually impossible to detect deliberate contamination through routine quality control or medical examination. Lucky had been developing this pharmaceutical poisoning concept since 1975, recognizing that community pharmacies offered unprecedented opportunities for systematic elimination through methods that would be completely invisible to victims, medical authorities, and law enforcement agencies who would never suspect that trusted healthcare providers could be weapons for criminal assassination. The establishment of Health First Pharmacy required extensive preparation and over $3 million in initial investment that was channeled through Lucky's criminal network and laundered through legitimate healthcare industry investments and state pharmacy licensing procedures that made the drugstore operation appear to be routine commercial expansion in the growing community healthcare market. The pharmaceutical operation was structured through Metropolitan Health Corporation, a legitimate healthcare services company that secured pharmacy licenses and established relationships with medical providers while developing medication manipulation capabilities that provided perfect cover for Lucky's poisoning activities. Meyer Lansky coordinated the business aspects of the pharmaceutical operation, working through connections in the healthcare industry to obtain necessary licenses, insurance coverage, and regulatory approvals required for commercial pharmacy operations and prescription medication services. Frank Costello managed the recruitment and training of pharmacy personnel, ensuring that key positions could be filled with individuals who could conduct poisoning operations while maintaining the appearance of providing professional pharmaceutical services to patients who were unaware of the pharmacy's criminal purposes. Pharmacy featured all the standard drugstore services, prescription medications, over-the-counter drugs, health consultations, and medical supplies. But the operation also incorporated sophisticated poisoning capabilities that could transform routine medications into deadly elimination weapons for targeted patients. Each prescription medication was carefully analyzed and potentially modified to deliver controlled doses of various poisons, including digitalis compounds, mercury derivatives, and arsenic-based substances that would cause gradual organ failure while appearing to be natural disease progression or legitimate medication side effects. The pharmacy's patient management system was designed to provide legitimate pharmaceutical services to ordinary customers, while maintaining special protocols for targeted eliminations that could be activated when specific individuals needed to be eliminated through gradual poisoning disguised as routine medical treatment. Most importantly, the pharmacy's prescription documentation was designed to create legitimate medical records that would satisfy regulatory requirements and insurance claims while concealing the true nature of medications that were designed to cause death rather than provide medical treatment. The recruitment of qualified pharmaceutical personnel required careful selection of individuals who possessed the necessary medical and chemical expertise while being vulnerable to recruitment for criminal activities through financial incentives, professional problems, or personal circumstances that made them dependent on Lucky's organization. Dr. Vincent Romano was recruited as the primary pharmacist and poisoning specialist for Lucky's pharmaceutical operation. Romano was a 41-year-old licensed pharmacist with extensive experience in clinical pharmacy and medication compounding, but he was also struggling with malpractice litigation and professional licensing problems that made him receptive to lucrative opportunities outside traditional pharmaceutical practice. Romano's recruitment was accomplished through Lucky's associates, who approached him with an offer to resolve his legal difficulties while providing him with ownership of a new community pharmacy that would serve Brooklyn's Italian American community with premium pharmaceutical services and personalized medical attention. Romano was initially told that Health First Pharmacy would be providing cutting-edge pharmaceutical services with particular attention to chronic disease management and preventive medicine for community members who needed discretion and professional excellence in their healthcare management. The transition from legitimate pharmaceutical services to poisoning operations was gradual, beginning with requests for Romano to develop specialized medication formulations and compounding services that could produce specific physiological effects beyond normal therapeutic benefits. As Romano became more comfortable with specialized pharmaceutical compounding, the requests became more specific and more obviously connected to harmful rather than beneficial health effects. Romano was asked to create medication formulations that would cause gradual organ damage, cardiovascular deterioration, and ultimately death while maintaining the appearance of natural disease progression or legitimate medication complications. Maria Benedetto was recruited as Romano's assistant and medication preparation specialist for complex poisoning operations. Benedetto had experience with pharmaceutical chemistry and drug formulation, making her ideally qualified for preparing toxic medications that would be undetectable in routine prescription drugs. Anthony Torino was recruited to manage the pharmacy's prescription tracking and patient identification operations. Torino's position allowed him to coordinate elimination assignments with patient medication schedules and prescription refills, ensuring that specific individuals would receive poisoned medications designed to cause death over predetermined time frames. The pharmaceutical poisoning operations began with detailed medical assessments and patient profiling that identified target individuals, analyzed their existing health conditions and medication usage patterns, and developed specific poisoning protocols that would ensure successful elimination while maintaining the appearance of natural disease progression or medication complications. Tony Salerno's elimination was planned as the culmination of Lucky's pharmaceutical poisoning program. Salerno was a powerful Brooklyn crime boss who had been consolidating control over several criminal enterprises that had previously been managed by Lucky's organization, creating financial losses and territorial disputes that threatened the stability of Lucky's successors' operations. Salerno was intelligent and normally cautious about personal security, but he was also dealing with genuine hypertension and cardiovascular problems that required regular prescription medication, creating perfect opportunities for poisoning through medications he would consume daily without suspicion. The operation against Tony Salerno was developed through extensive research into his medical history, prescription patterns, and health management routines that revealed optimal methods for delivering poison through medications he would consume regularly and trustingly as part of his essential healthcare regimen. The research revealed that Salerno had been taking blood pressure medication for over 3 years and had developed routine relationships with his physicians and pharmacy that made him unlikely to question changes in medication appearance or formulation that would be explained as normal pharmaceutical improvements. Dr. Romano's poisoning protocol was carefully designed to deliver digitalis compounds and mercury derivatives through blood pressure medications that Salerno consumed twice daily, ensuring consistent poison exposure that would cause gradual cardiovascular damage over several months, while appearing to be natural progression of his existing heart disease. The poisoning compounds were formulated in doses that would be undetectable through taste or immediate physiological effects, while accumulating in Salerno's cardiovascular system and internal organs at levels that would eventually cause cardiac arrhythmias, organ failure, and death within 4 to 6 months of initial exposure. More importantly, the poisoning protocol was designed to create symptoms that would be attributed to worsening hypertension, medication side effects, or age-related cardiovascular decline rather than deliberate poisoning, ensuring that medical examination would focus on heart disease treatment rather than toxicological analysis. The poisoning operation began in August 1977, with Salerno receiving modified blood pressure medications that contained carefully measured doses of cardiotoxic compounds, disguised as improved pharmaceutical formulations designed to provide better blood pressure control with fewer side effects. Romano monitored Salerno's health condition and medication compliance through regular pharmacy consultations and prescription refills that provided opportunities to adjust poison dosages and evaluate the effectiveness of the elimination protocol while maintaining the appearance of professional pharmaceutical care and patient health management. The poisoning effects began manifesting after approximately 8 weeks of regular medication consumption, with Salerno experiencing cardiac irregularities, chest pain, and circulation problems that were attributed to inadequate blood pressure control and recommended medication dosage increases that actually provided additional poison exposure. Romano's pharmaceutical consultation convinced Salerno that his symptoms were normal consequences of cardiovascular disease progression and recommended continued medication usage, along with additional prescriptions that would supposedly address his cardiac problems, while actually ensuring accelerated poisoning through multiple toxic compounds. The poisoning effects progressed steadily over 5 months, with Salerno's cardiovascular condition deteriorating in ways that appeared to be consistent with advanced heart disease, medication complications, or age, related cardiac decline rather than systematic administration of cardiotoxic substances. By January 1978, Salerno was experiencing severe cardiac symptoms, including irregular heartbeat, acute chest pain, and circulatory failure that made him increasingly unable to manage his criminal operations effectively while appearing to be suffering from end-stage heart disease rather than poisoning. Tony Salerno died on the 14th of February 1978, approximately 6 months after beginning his modified medication regimen at Health First Pharmacy from what appeared to be cardiac arrest resulting from advanced cardiovascular disease that had progressed despite appropriate medical treatment and pharmaceutical intervention. The medical examination concluded that Salerno's death was caused by heart failure, resulting from long-term hypertension and cardiovascular disease that had not responded adequately to available medical treatments, with death occurring as a natural consequence of advanced cardiac pathology. No toxicological analysis was performed because Salerno's death occurred during routine medical treatment for known cardiovascular problems, and because his symptoms had been consistent with documented heart disease rather than poisoning or other criminal activity. The success of the Tony Salerno elimination operation led to the expansion of Lucky's pharmaceutical poisoning strategy to target additional crime figures throughout the New York metropolitan area who posed threats to his successors' criminal operations or could be eliminated to create opportunities for territorial expansion and business consolidation. Over the next 2 years, Health First Pharmacy systematically eliminated 34 major crime figures through pharmaceutical programs that appeared to be routine medical treatments, but actually were carefully orchestrated poisoning operations conducted through prescription medications and health management services. Vincent Rao was eliminated in April 1978 through diabetes medications that contained pancreatic toxins designed to cause organ failure, while appearing to be complications from uncontrolled blood sugar and metabolic disease progression. Joseph Colombo was eliminated in July 1978 through arthritis medications that contained heavy metal compounds formulated to cause neurological damage and kidney failure, while appearing to be consequences of chronic inflammatory disease and age-related health decline. Albert Anastasia's nephew, Michael, was eliminated in October 1978 through anxiety medications that contained neurotoxic substances designed to cause respiratory depression and cardiac arrest, while appearing to be accidental overdose or medication interaction complications. Frank Scalise was eliminated in December 1978 through cholesterol medications that contained hepatotoxic compounds formulated to cause liver failure and circulatory collapse, while appearing to be consequences of cardiovascular disease and metabolic syndrome. By February 1979, Lucky Luciano's pharmaceutical operation had eliminated 41 major crime figures while maintaining Health First Pharmacy as a legitimate community drugstore that generated substantial prescription revenue and maintained excellent reputation within Brooklyn's healthcare community. The pharmaceutical operations had also provided Lucky's successors with comprehensive medical intelligence about virtually every major crime figure in the New York area, because prescription services naturally involved detailed health assessments and medical history documentation that revealed personal vulnerabilities and lifestyle information. More importantly, the pharmaceutical strategy had created a climate of fear and suspicion within organized crime communities, where routine medical treatment became associated with mysterious deaths and health complications that could not be explained through normal medical analysis. The psychological impact of the pharmaceutical eliminations was particularly devastating because they exploited fundamental human needs for healthcare and medical treatment, while turning those same needs into weapons for systematic assassination that appeared to be natural health problems rather than criminal violence. Federal law enforcement agencies investigated the unusual pattern of deaths among organized crime figures, but found no evidence of systematic assassination operations connected to healthcare facilities, noting that the deaths appeared to be natural health problems related to lifestyle factors and aging rather than criminal activity. The FBI's investigation concluded that the deaths were consistent with normal patterns of health problems among individuals involved in high-stress criminal activities, rather than evidence of coordinated elimination campaigns conducted through legitimate healthcare businesses. State health authorities examined the pharmaceutical operations and found no evidence of unsafe practices or regulatory violations, noting that Health First Pharmacy maintained excellent safety records and compliance with all applicable pharmaceutical regulations and patient care standards. Medical authorities reviewed the death certificates and prescription records, but found no indication of medication errors or pharmaceutical negligence, noting that the deaths appeared to be caused by natural health problems related to chronic disease progression and age-related medical complications rather than systematic poisoning. Lucky Luciano's successors had created the perfect elimination system, a legitimate healthcare business that eliminated enemies while providing essential medical services, maintaining regulatory compliance, and generating substantial profits that could be used to fund additional criminal operations. Through this pharmaceutical operation, Lucky's legacy continued to influence organized crime elimination methods years after his death, demonstrating that his strategic thinking had created poisoning capabilities that could operate effectively without detection, while maintaining complete legitimacy as community healthcare services. The pharmaceutical operations established Lucky's posthumous reputation as the most sophisticated medical assassination strategist in history, someone whose understanding of healthcare systems and patient trust could create elimination systems that use people's medical needs as weapons against them. Health First Pharmacy continued operating as both a legitimate community drugstore and a strategic elimination facility throughout the late 1970s, with control of the operation maintained by Lucky's designated successors, who preserved the pharmacy's dual purpose while expanding services to include additional healthcare and medical consultation capabilities. The pharmacy's success established the template for criminal operations that exploited healthcare relationships and community trust in medical professionals, demonstrating that true criminal power came from the ability to corrupt institutions that people depended upon for their health and survival. Lucky Luciano had proven through his pharmaceutical operation that the most effective criminal strategies were often the ones that appeared to serve people's health interests, while actually serving the criminal interests of those who controlled them through systematic corruption of trusted healthcare institutions. On the 22nd of August, 1977, Tony Salerno filled what he thought was a life-saving prescription for blood pressure medication, but was actually receiving the first dose of Lucky Luciano's most insidious elimination method, proving that in the pursuit of health and longevity, the deadliest enemies are often those who promise to heal us, while systematically destroying us through the very medicines we trust to keep us alive.